The Mazda Miata makes a black family reunion doing the Cupid shuffle worth of torque. Is it powerful? No, it's not. Like you could find power drills that make more power than this thing. This is the Swiss Army knife of the car culture because do you want a Hellcat swap it? It's already been done. Do you want a 2J swap it? Already been done. But what's the most common swap that people like to do? Every damn swap you could think of, but it's mostly like K swaps, K20s, K24s, J Series V6 swaps. You could strap Sha'Carri Richardson under the hood. It'll be fast as hell for no fucking reason but to be fast. Why? Because 50-50 weight distribution. I couldn't own no Miata. I couldn't. I get good and full of that moonshine. Walk outside. And this motherfucker smiling at me like, bro, why the fuck are you so happy to be a car? We're talking about a car that hauls more ass than white women in scary movies. You've never seen chicken nipples a day in your life. No, you haven't. Well, I ain't seen a Miata that ain't fast as hell for no reason. The Miata is smaller than that glove OJ tried to put on. This is a 12-valve Cummins. You go get this engine when you want to pull the thong out of mountain ass. You Cummins guys are an entirely different breed, like even in 2025 already. Like y'all don't believe in sticking one turbo on and making about 800 pound-feet of torque. No, you got to go the distance. Built examples of making 3,000 plus horsepower and 3,000 pound-feet of torque. Do you have any idea how many motherfucking Patrick Swayze roundhouse kicks that amount to? This may be the only engine in existence that could pull some accountability out of ex-wife. The reason why this engine's so strong is because it's made out of Oprah Winfrey toenail clippings. This engine nastier than two nerds fighting over a Yu-Gi-Oh card. This thing hauls more ass than that hippo from Madagascar with an OnlyFans. Oh, let's also not forget this engine weighs 1,000 pounds. That means if you try to put this in your fucking Miata, be prepared to spend a lot of money on suspension parts. Front of that Miata will be touching the ground like a stripper with a big ass head. She gotta drag that motherfucker. So to make a long story short, if you tried to do half the shit that these 12-valve Cummins could do with your K24 or your LS or your Hellcat, you will throw more rod than an angry lesbian during makeup sex. So a lot of you asked me to talk about this drift Camaro from way back in the early 2000s, and we finna talk about it. One thing about Americans is we gonna flex. If we ain't strategic, we're just gonna show you all out power, which is what Ryan Hampton did. See, in 2004, he bought this 69 Camaro blacktop, right? Took it to this shop, broke it all the way down to bare metal, built it back up with a Nextel Cup suspension, 373 gears, and a 468 big block making 700 plus horsepower. I want y'all to understand how crazy that sounds, right? It's the early 2000s. Drifting is predominantly JDM. And you decide to bring a 468 big block powered fucking monstrosity to a drift event and whoop ass left to right. This thing sounded like Godzilla taking a constipated shit. This thing nastier than Freddy Krueger trapped in a Jeffrey Dahmer dream. I mean, let's think about this for a second. He just casually bought a 69 Camaro for $10,000. Do you have any idea how much, well, adjusted for inflation, this fucking car would be in today's money? This thing will be higher than Bobby Brown with a jetpack. Like, it can't just be me. It almost seems like the early 2000s was a fucking fever dream. You had Dragon Ball GT. You had Nopi Nationals. You had all these tuner magazines that people couldn't fucking wait to buy for like probably $15 fucking $8. What's the name of that song? Back in the day when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, but some days I still wish I was a kid again. Back in the day when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, but some days, oh my God. Now, oh boy. Times have truly changed. Now, in order to be competitive in an FD event, you gotta have something like a 3.5 stroker 2JZ GTE with 50 turbos on that motherfucker, a sequential transmission, and a differential that costs more than your fucking mortgage. You gotta have a fucking McLaren with a rotary swapped in that motherfucker. This is a 800 horsepower Volkswagen Rabbit. This ain't no fucking rabbit. This is a MILF with bad habits. This thing nastier than Bugs Bunny taking a gas station pill right before a sneaky link. It make 800 horsepower. There are two rules in this world. You don't fuck with the iceberg that sunk the Titanic, and you don't fuck with a car that makes 10 times the horsepower it came with from factory. His turbo sound like a midget birthday party. Thing nastier than a substitute teacher selling coochie on Christian Mingle. Oh, bro, this thing haul more ass than a dementia patient at a scary movie.